Welcome, sorry. Welcome to another Seismic Cinema podcast. So put your feet up on Adam's busted Jeep, grab your COVID mask, and prepare to make up your mind if 1968 was real or not for the next 40 minutes.
Yeah, so tonight we are doing a review on A Night of the Undead. And with us is our esteemed guests, the co-directors, Kenny Scott and Jake C. Young. How's it going, guys?
Pretty good. How are you guys today?
Very good.
Yeah.
Looking forward to
It's good to be speaking to our doppelgangers.
it.
Totally.
Yeah, so we're just going to have a kind of quick discussion about yourselves. Just tells you a wee bit about yourselves, and then we'll get on to the movie. So anyone wants to start? It's up to you.
All right. Jake, I guess I will let you go first.
Okay. Yeah, so hey guys, thanks for having us for sure.
I was ever so surprised when like you approached us. We were like, I don't know. It was strange to get like approached to do something. Usually we're the ones doing the approaching.
Well, a lot of that comes from we've been in the industry, doing stuff for a while. So it's nice to network because we kind of know how that goes. It's nice to be able to build connections, and you can reach out to guys who are like you guys doing independent stuff. We really take a heart to that because we've done it for so long, and when we first started out, we were the exact same way doing stuff like that. And honestly, you never really grow out of that because you kind of remember where you came from.
Yeah, we really like having guests on because I think that's something we love. But like we just review different movies and films. Movies and films are the same thing. Movies and shows, but I think interviewing people involved in movies, directors, actors, I think is a way we'd love to go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because like we're usually just like we'll watch something on TV and we'll be like dead critical about it, but we never really know what goes on behind the scenes. So it's quite interesting to see behind the curtain and see the kind of the boots on the ground and all the kind of hardships that go along with it.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're making a movie, you don't actually. It's crazy to see that end product because you never actually see what's going on during filming. So whenever it you see everything come together in the end, it's really crazy.
Yeah, that's one thing. Like, you always find amazing, like all the bits of the puzzle coming together. Like, see if it was me, like I'd imagine Colin would be the same. Like we're total scatterbrains, so if we try to make a movie, it would just be an absolute Frankenstein of a thing.
Now, even just those wee pictures and videos that Kenny sent, the behind the scenes, like even that's quite fascinating to me because obviously we've never made a film before, as Paul said.
If you appreciate that, I'll send you the blooper reel as well.
Yeah. Send us it all.
It was fun. It was really hot. It was just, I don't know, it was an experience. It really was. I really think more people need to film movies in houses that are falling down and infested with black mold. I really do. I think that's an experience that everybody needs to have at one point in their life.
Yeah, like in like past films and like even films we're currently doing now.
Turn your mic up.
Sorry. What?
Turn your mic up.
My microphone? That's just my voice, dude.
Talk louder. Okay.
As I was saying before I was interrupted, based on like films that we're doing now and that we've done in the past and stuff, this one was really different because we actually, everything you see in the movie, we shot it pretty much there. Like the whole thing was shot at an on location thing. So we had, our crew, our actors, everybody. We weren't like staying on just getting outside shots and then doing interior shots in like a studio or something. No, the entire film that you see in that house, it's all shot on location there. And the only studio shots we done was I believe it was like, you know, in the opening, and then there were a few small scenes. I believe with like the cast when they're getting ready to leave at the podcast and stuff. Those were shot in studio, but the rest was completely shot, you know, on site, on location, and it was definitely an experience because, you know, you don't have like your controls over lighting and everything like you usually have in, you know, a standard film, or, you know, you can call quiet on set. No, everything there that you see is, you know, 100% natural.
How did you go about finding the location? Was there like a few different places you tried, or?
That was pretty much the only location that we considered. It was kind of a funny story. I had a friend who was helping us to find the location, and he found that house, and then it turned out, you know, we got the permission to use it. We got the clearance to use it. And then it was so weird because we cast Brianna Phipps in the film as Piper. And we sent her the address to come down and shoot. And it turned out like, hey, wait a minute. She's like, this is like my family's property. It was so weird, you know? So it was like it was meant to be.
So her family owned the house, yeah?
Yeah, they own the house. It's in pretty rough condition now. Like, I mean, it's like there's stuff that you didn't even see. Like, if you notice in the film, you never see the kitchen, right? There's like no kitchen floor in the house, like at all.
Well, like a lot of that stuff you see in the movie, and for people who are going to be watching this, who, you know, seeing the interview, for like those of you who have seen the movie, the whole movie, it was actually shot in like, what was it, like 2 rooms? I believe the whole thing was shot in 2 rooms. And,
3, yeah. So what? Technically 3, because we had that back room that we used. Yeah.
So it was technically shot in 3 rooms, but we had a way that we kind of done some cinema tricks, and we broke the 4th wall, so it looks like you're actually in the whole house during the film. So, you know, you feel like you're actually there. But, you know, as far as things you didn't see, like we had like half of that house caution taped off.
Yes.
You couldn't go in it.
We couldn't go in the back part of the house because, I mean, it was literally falling through. That place was a hazard. Jake even saw a snake at one point. Like, I mean, I'm not talking like a little itty bitty garter snake either. I'm talking like a freaking python. Okay, it was huge.
Yeah, but, you know, keep in mind, everybody, we were safe. We did have, you know, precautions on set. Everything was taped off, so nobody got hurt. But it was really cool to, you know, be able to do that on location.
You had your masks as well.
Well, do we wear masks?
You had your masks.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah, it was cool because that was one of the things that I really, from the beginning, wanted in the film was the visuals of the cast in the mask. I love that picture of them that's been circulated on social media of the 3 of them with the masks on when Judy first gets sick or whatever. It's a pretty cool shot, I think.
Someone's got a weird kind of
clicking
noise in the background.
What is that noise?
I don't know. Is it still there? Is it you, Paul?
It's not me. I just muted me.
Let me mute myself.
I don't think it's me because I can hear it, if that makes sense. Coming from this side.
When I mute it, when I mute myself, I can't hear it anymore.
Oh, it's Jake. It's Jake.
What the heck is that, Jake? It's you.
I can still hear it. Hang on just a second.
You guys will have to edit this out.
So,
totally.
Nah, it's fine. It's funny. So, Kenny, how did you and Jake start working together?
So it's actually kind of a weird, funny story. As you'd mentioned, I originally started out doing a podcast called Beam Me Up. And I had a lot of guests on that were previously in the entertainment industry, such as Trevor LeSueur, who is now my mentor. People may recognize him from Sabrina the Teenage Witch and American Vampire.
What, the original Sabrina the Teenage Witch?
Yes, he was in seasons 5 and 6 when she goes to college. He was the guy roommate with the long hair. Love that dude. I've actually got a picture of me and him on a FaceTime call right there on my mantle back here in my office. But I had him on. I had on Muse Watson from I Know What You Did Last Summer, Alan Danziger from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Just had on pretty much all of the icons that I grew up watching. And so I did the podcast, and throughout doing the podcast, I started getting more opportunities to work on some projects. And it was so weird because I happened to come across Jake on social media, and he and I live in the same town. And I'd worked on movies, he'd worked on movies, but we'd never worked on a movie together. And so I really, that was a goal for me. I was like, whoa, this is cool. We live like right next to each other, and, we both make movies. Let's work on something together. That was like a goal of mine. And so we kept talking about it. Yeah, we'll make a movie together someday. And it's like, it was just not happening. And then I had the idea to remake Night of the Living Dead. And it wasn't just because it was public domain, because there's like 10 billion Night of the Living Dead remakes out there just because it's public domain and name recognition, And so I had the idea to remake it after COVID because, for the obvious reasons. It was the perfect allegory. And I approached Jake about it, and I was like, hey, do you want to make this movie with me? And he said, yeah, for sure. And that was kind of where it went from there. Honestly, the only thing, I thought it was going to be a great project for us to work together on and get to know each other a little bit better. And, I was hoping by the end of it, we might be friends who talked occasionally, but honestly, Jake became my best friend, and, we work really well together. And so I've said, look, I'm not going to work with anybody else except Jake for the most part, just because it just makes the most sense. He and I live close together, very close proximity. We're best friends. We get along tremendously well, and we really bounce these ideas off of each other pretty well. We complement each other pretty well, I think. So
that's a really nice story.
Thank you.
That's great. I feel quite emotional now.
Waterworks going.
I wish me and Paul had a nice story like that. So how did you get all these well-known actors on your podcast? What's the secret? We're still waiting on Mark Hamill getting back to us.
I don't know if I should say the secret in a public forum, but if you want to talk about it after,
Definitely.
The magician never reveals all their secrets.
We don't have any secrets, so we're fine.
Well, did you notice in the film the FaceTime scene where Piper's on the phone with her mom? Did you guys recognize the actress?
No, but I had a question about the scene.
Okay, go ahead with your question first.
So, I reckon there probably was a reason for it. So, why did you superimpose it on digitally rather than just film somebody on the phone? Was it
the actress was not available that day, and so we shot Brianna just holding her phone, just with a green screen on it, and we superimposed a video that she sent over later. But we didn't realize until we watched the film that she was just moving her hand all over the place. It's like, dude. Dude, dial it back a bit, but no, she did a good job, but that was the reason, because it would have been too difficult to have done it as a live FaceTime call, just in terms of filming.
I was actually just quite curious about it when I saw that scene. I was like, I wonder why it was done that way. So it's good to get some insight.
But the actress was Nancy Ann Ritter. You guys probably maybe remember her from Scream, the original Scream. She was one of the girls in the bathroom, not the cheerleader, but the girl with the short brown hair, talking to the cheerleader in the bathroom while Sydney's hiding in the stall. So yeah,
nice.
That is her.
Very well connected. Has Jake solved these underwater sounds?
I'm going to let Jake talk for a minute because he hasn't got a chance to.
Well, It's okay. I'm still fighting with my signal. I have like terrible signal here. So, but yeah, as far as being able to work with these actors and actresses, as long as I've been in the industry, we've worked with a lot of names, and we've worked continuously. We still work with a lot of names, off and on. If you check like my IMDb, you can see on there, not only do I do directing, but I'm also an actor, so I've been in stuff too. So this film itself was actually, this was a new challenge to me. Like when I know Kenny was telling you how he had originally approached me, and we became friends on set. But this was a new challenge for me because this was something I wanted to do. In most of my previous films, I had some form of involvement on the screen, whether I was playing something or, any form of involvement. But this gave me a chance to sort of step back, out of that spotlight and focus on really making the film the best that it could be, best on as far as the level of what we wanted to see, how we wanted to see it. It gave me an opportunity as a director to go forward. And then, of course, Kenny there, he co-directed with me. And, we, like he said, we bounced ideas off each other. And, upon directing, I know that this was different for me, but I was happy with the overall result. And, along the way, this was, I believe, Kenny, this was your first directorial debut, wasn't it? As far as
I mean, it technically was, and I learned a lot as well from that side of things, from Jake, and now our current film that we're shooting, I've taken more of an active role in that because Jake is in front of the camera as well as behind it on this project, which I'm really super excited for. I'm actually more excited for this than I was for Night of the Undead. So.
When is that out? We've also seen the trailer for it. When is that actually coming out?
Oh, we just started filming it like this month, so it'll be a while.
Well, yeah.
Just a little while,
Nice. So, see, like...
Sorry, Paul, you go.
No, I was going to say, like taking on like a kind of reboot / sequel to like Night of the Living Dead, was it a bit daunting, taking something that people know so widely and trying to make your own way of it?
It was really I knew going into it that people were going to be critical, so we already knew that right off the bat. So that really prepared us going into it for anything that could have been thrown our way. We were just like, people are going to be critical because they're going to compare it to the original. And we weren't trying to compare it to the original. In fact, we referenced the original film numerous times throughout the film. We weren't trying to make a film that was better because that would be pretty much impossible, right? But we were making a film as an homage to the film that we loved, right? So,
Yeah. I did love the wee callbacks. I watched Night of the Living Dead just before this, so I could see all the kind of Easter eggs and stuff. And yeah, I really liked all the callbacks because you could easily, you see, like you were saying, there's so many copies out there. You could easily just take the name, run with it, and not have anything to do with the original.
There are so many. It looks like Jake lost connection again. Oh no, there he is. Awesome.
I rescued him. That's a let back
sorry,
then.
guys. I was trying to hook up better because having some bad signal issues. So
you sound great right now.
Yeah, this is better. I've got a mic on me, so this is a lot better.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
No,
that's all right.
We do that at least once an episode. So.
But we knew going into it that people were going to be critical of it, and I think that really, like I said, was good preparation for us. Because we braced ourselves for that, and then at that point, nothing really kind of bothered us about it.
Well, doing something like this, you're automatically, before we even stepped into this, when the day we announced, we already had people that were going to be critical. I mean, you're literally you're taking on a role of something, not necessarily that we were
Kenny said, we're not remaking or, imposing on that legacy, but this film, it could technically be considered canon, to the original, because it's a direct sequel to the original, which I know you guys had said you'd actually, you caught a lot of those Easter eggs in there from the original film.
I've got a big confession to make. I'm going to do what Paul normally does and watch things in reverse. I've not actually seen the original, so you're actually my first entry, which is quite interesting because it gives us different perspectives. So I'll aim to watch that, having watched this, and see how that goes.
I hadn't seen the film either until Kenny had approached me about doing the movie, and I was like, man, I've heard of it, everybody's heard of them growing up and stuff. And I had seen like some of the other, like the Dawn of the Dead and all that stuff, but I never went and watched the original 1968 version. Now I had seen like the 90s version when I was younger, but the original 1968 version, I didn't go back and actually watch it until he had approached me. And I was like, well, let's see what we're working with. And once I seen that, I was like, wow, this is a great opportunity, to work in some of those little Easter eggs. And I think we had as much fun doing that on set and putting those in there as I think fans of the original will see. We had actually originally intended, but it got cut from the script just due to, timing and everything. We were going to put in some flashback scenes. There were going to be some direct reshoots, kind of like the Karen Cooper scene, but with other actors, reprising those roles, in the role of Barbara and Ben and things of that nature.
Harry.
We definitely did have a few Easter eggs, though. Like we have the Ben, which is carved into the gun. We had Karen Cooper's diary. We had the...
I think this is their discussion. We need to let them tell us what they caught.
I'm just saying,
Paul actually caught both of them. We talked about it before we came on.
You had a Judy. Because it was Tom and Judy, the couple in the cellar.
Oh, Tom and Judy. We didn't have a Tom and Judy. The only thing we were going to reshoot was
no. He says we had a character named Judy in the film. It was like an homage to the.
Oh, I was thinking Tom and Judy. Okay, yeah, I was thinking
about
like
an homage.
Correct.
Yeah. That was an Easter egg too.
Yes, definitely.
And then the old boy going, what is it? He said something about Ben. He's coming to get you, like the Barbara bit. And then you said that.
That was definitely something that I was really happy to have in there as well.
I knew that line from Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead.
Coming to get you, Barbara.
I saw that like 20 years ago.
Nick Frost's character says it, doesn't he? Then he kind of chases after her. We've been tiptoeing around it a wee bit, so will we jump into kind of spoiler discussion around the movie, and you can ask us our opinion on if there's certain things you want to know about, and we can share our thoughts.
Well, I mean, do you want to share your thoughts first before we talk about it?
Can I ask a question? Can we get a proper exclusive here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a sequel? Because I had feelings towards the end that there could be. If you can't answer
I don't think we're ready to elaborate on that just yet.
That's not a no.
But that is not a no. Yes, you're right. It's not a no, but we are not ready to. I'm just going to say this, and Kenny can probably correct me if I'm wrong. With the hype this one gained, it is not out of the question, and it has been discussed. I'll just say that.
You make a good soccer manager. That's how most press conferences go.
Yeah, we've done this for a while. Like, we're under more copyright laws than you can shake a stick at. So it's.
I mean, of course, I'm sure a lot of people want there to be a sequel.
Some people probably don't too.
Some people probably don't. But I'm very happy with the attention that the film did receive. It's pretty much kind of like an underdog because at the same time that we came out, Terrifier 2 came out, and of course it was like everywhere, and ours was
and Halloween. We were actually in theaters with.
Oh
Halloween.
yeah, Halloween. Yeah,
yeah. We were in select theaters with Halloween, and before Halloween came out, actually, in a few theaters that we were in, we were the top grossing movie of probably
Nice.
what that whole month, I would say, wouldn't we?
Yeah, of the theaters that we were playing in, absolutely.
Yeah, we were the top gross. Yeah, absolutely.
And then Michael Myers killed us. So
well, he didn't necessarily kill us, but we
he
did
killed us. I'm
that.
honored. He killed us. Everybody wants to be killed by Michael Myers.
Well,
If it makes you feel any better, I enjoyed this a lot more on Halloween Ends.
And I didn't even go and see Halloween Ends, so there's that.
Well, you know, like with Halloween Ends, you know, we felt pretty honored, you know, because considering we made this film, it was, you know, done on a micro budget. It's an indie film. I mean, let's call it what it is. It's an indie film. But to know that we outgrossed in these select theaters more than these Hollywood blockbusters. I mean, what an honor, you know. And we gained a lot of hype from it. And you know, people who haven't seen the movie, you're going to be able to see it in like 12 days. Like you'll be able to get your Blu-ray early copies. It's available for pre-order right now, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. We just looked before we came on. Me and Paul are going to order one.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Because as soon as, well, I mean, obviously, as soon as, you know, I believe it's January 31st, the end of the month is when we come on. And then I believe sometime around April, I believe it'll be free with ads on most streaming platforms, I believe. But yeah,
Nice.
like at the end of the month, this is the time to like get your direct copy of, you know, the Blu-ray and stuff. And for those who haven't, you know, seen it on streaming, this will house a lot of, like we done two different sets of the film. The one that was theatrically screened, there's different colors in the film. Like we deliberately tried to go with, in the theatrical release, more of that grayscaled color, you know, as a homage to the original. I don't know which version they seen. Do you know which one have they seen, or was it just
YouTube screener? Whichever one that one is.
I honestly don't know.
I don't either.
There's so many screeners we've sent this thing out to, but some of them you can tell on those grayscales, but some of the other ones are in, you know, full printed color too. So the Blu-rays, you'll be able to see that, and these Blu-rays will be in like super HD too.
Oh yeah.
Is there special features, blooper reel on the Blu-ray?
I don't know. You know, that kind of went out of our hands once you know, Bayview took over. It was kind of out of our hands, but you know, to everybody who does, you know, who watches the film, you know, we're already available on like certain platforms, and a lot of people have called us like a modern classic because we took that extra step. You know, I was not expecting it to blow up as much as it did. You know, opening night, which I'm sure Kenny will have to send you photos if he hasn't already, but we've got pictures opening night. We actually attended, you know, at our premiere. It was insane because we had people that were just like flocked to it. Like, and what the craziest thing, there was just like so many of these kids, man, like these kids, like 12 and 13 were coming to watch the movie. And like, you know, we screened it in the theater, you know, with our audience, because that was an experience. If you're ever a filmmaker and you don't screen your film with an audience, you know, that's the only way you learn.
The premiere was the first time that I had actually seen the film with an audience, right? Because nobody else had really seen it. And I was sitting there just on edge, like the whole first 5 minutes of the film. I was like trembling. You know, I was like, what are they thinking? What are they thinking? And like Jake said, most of them were like kids, like, you know, teenagers. And I'm like, they're going to be like really critical of this film, right? And I'm like so nervous. And then the first shot that you guys see of the ghoul, of Zach Sackett, when the camera pans over from the farmer to his zombified face, as soon as it landed on his face, there was a collective...
Everybody in the theater,
all of them, and I was just like, I finally was like, okay, I can exhale now. Okay.
Well, you know, that the film, like it was so, what was crazy was like with these young people, it was so interactive. The screening was, it was insane. The reactions we were hearing, and it was a good thing because, you know, in the decapitation scene, we got a standing ovation, like in the theater.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they were clapping. You know, a lot of the jump scares were getting the attention that, you know, we had initially intended. So that was a really good feeling. And honestly, that was in, you know, a couple different theaters that we had screened in. Both got the same reactions, and it was crazy because before we done a second premiere, we were just at a we were at a convention where they had us to you know, get on stage and talk about the film. And you know, the cast and crew was up there, and it was, you know, we weren't expecting this to be as interactive, but whenever everyone showed up, you know, like I said, our main audience was kids, and there was kids that showed up and was like, wow, this was my first horror film. This was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. And for them to, you know, be running up to us being like, can we get your autograph on these posters? Can we get these? And they were just flocking all around.
It was wild.
Like, it was crazy.
These kids are like, will you make a TikTok with us? And I'm like, I've never really made a TikTok. They're like, but you're famous. I'm like, I am so not famous. Like, what? You know, it was great. It was such a good experience that night.
Yeah, it was really good to know that we captivated something for these kids to really do, and not just kids. I mean, we had lots of adults who really enjoyed the film. I mean, I remember like days after the premiere, you know, people coming up and being like, I haven't seen that movie, and that was so good. They were saying, you know, and it was really something to experience. Because I know, like I kept saying it, but we had so many people flocking to us. There's actually a video, Kenny, I'll have to send to you, but like our people taking the video to us, you know, while we were standing there signing autographs, they were having to like hold the phone up and like get around all these people. It was like a sea of people just flocking, wanting the autographs. We sold out of, you know, all of the DVD copies that we had took, you know, first run edition for autographs, and, you know, posters and stuff where we had limited edition posters. They were going like mad, and it was just it was such a cool experience to be able to interact with our fans directly and the people to who loved the movie. And you know, it was a great honor as a director, and I think Kenny will say this too, as a director, you feel that captivation to know that your hard work has, you know, created what they were calling at the time a cult classic. I mean, and that to be called that in an indie film, that's unreal. It's amazing.
Very
how come? Or because you were saying in a message earlier, Kenny, you were saying the critics weren't kind, but the horror fans were. So
the critics have not been in love with it.
They've not been as forgiving, but that is to be expected, though. But you know, for the most part, most critics have given us great compliments, you know, based on the micro budget that this film was shot on, because we did shoot this. Like I said, this was guerrilla style indie filmmaking, which, you know, that's something that I've specialized in, but they did give us, you know, props for what we worked with. And
yeah.
And the horror fans like loved it though, for sure. Like, no doubt. Like they really enjoyed it. It's been very, I don't know, I guess satisfying and gratifying, you know? So,
yeah. It must be so encouraging to take on your future projects, having this kind of, like you're saying, like kind of cult backing. So you're going to have like that support pretty much through, hopefully.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's good. I was going to say there. Well, you're saying, like the critics, sometimes the critics don't always align with the fans. They're always looking for something else. Like you go on Rotten Tomatoes, and I'd probably say about 90% of the time, the critic score is always way below the kind of audience score, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
This is true. We're actually on Rotten Tomatoes, but I don't think we have enough reviews to be certified one way or the other yet.
Yeah, okay.
Because there's only so many reviewers with the official reviewers. Like any viewer can add a review, but the reviewers, there's only so many that are like actually Rotten Tomatoes approved or whatever.
Yeah,
we have gotten certified reviewers who have reviewed the film. Like we had Film Threat review us the other day. You know, they're certified. They reviewed us, and we had Nerdly review us, and we've actually had quite a bit. You know, a lot of cinema stock on this whole entire thing, and the reviews are honestly they're mixed. I mean, we've got good and bad, but like I said, that is to be expected. But overall, I think it's something I'm very pleased with in my career at this point, and I think that I think Kenny is as well.
I am.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean, really,
oh, sorry, go on.
we really appreciate you. Like as I said at the start, we were quite taken aback when we got a message about it, and it was quite a surreal experience because I'm in some ways technological, in some ways not. I think that's the first time I've ever watched a movie where I've screened my phone to the big TV, and it was quite a interesting way to watch it on YouTube, which is I don't think I've ever watched a movie on YouTube before, so there's that as well.
Well, it's a private link, right? So only reviewers and certain people have had access to it. So
that's the first time we've ever done anything like that. So we really appreciate that opportunity, and had a really good time sitting because I watched half an hour the other night because I was worried I wouldn't have enough time tonight to watch it before we came on. So then I watched the other hour. Actually, I think I watched the first kind of. It was an hour.
An hour 20.
20.
yeah, an hour and 20 minutes. Yeah.
I think I watched the first half hour. Yeah, then I watched 50 minutes tonight. So I will when I get my Blu-ray go back and watch it in one sitting as well.
Oh, for sure. And I know you'd mentioned about having the cast on at some point. If you guys definitely, like I said, if you guys want that, we could make that happen too. So
yeah, that'd be really cool. As we said, it's something we're keen to do is have people involved in films on for discussion. So it would definitely be cool if they were up for it.
absolutely.
Yeah. So I get. Oh, my bad.
No, sorry, on you go.
I was gonna say, you know, so since we've discussed reviews, let's get your guys' review of the film. You know,
Who, me?
Yeah, Paul, you're first.
Right. So straight off the bat, I'm just going to say I'm literally like an absolute whore for blockbuster movies. Like I rarely ever watch independent movies. Like, well, actually, it's probably the second independent movie I've ever watched.
Oh wow.
What's the first?
Neil Boyle.
Okay. Okay.
Right, third movie, because he had to. So, like, when I first started watching it, I was kind of like trying to take off the kind of blockbuster head, you know, and I was actually quite pleasantly surprised by it, because like sometimes you watch things on TV and it's like a cheap sci-fi movie, and it's just associated with the name. It's like a cheap copy, and it's hasn't really got anything to do with the kind of main franchise.
Right.
Home Alone 5.
I've not seen Home Alone 5. So with like it being like a kind of direct sequel, and with all the kind of Easter eggs put about, after watching The Night of the Living Dead and then watching this, I actually flowed pretty well, and I actually quite enjoyed it because it was all kind of part of the main story. Yeah, I've written down quite a few kind of points, but probably the biggest thing I'd probably take away from it is I liked the kind of practical effects, the makeup. I thought they were really good, considering like you had like a tiny budget. I thought the zombies looked like real good.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
we appreciate that. You know, that makes us feel good, because that tells us, you know, we done our job, because we weren't so much focused on, you know, the absolute quality, because like I said, with it being an independent film, but the story and the flow, we were compared to, you know, the way that Doctor Sleep was to The Shining. You know, they said that's what this film is to the original. They said this is basically a love letter that flows perfectly with it. And I don't know if I would say perfectly, but I do personally believe, you know, the story that we told, it would definitely help, you know, from people watching one thing to see the next. But this thing, it's a standalone. You know, if you'd never seen the first one, you could still understand what was going on.
Yeah,
that was like me. Obviously, I didn't watch the original movie, so as I said, you were my entry point for the franchise. But I did find myself getting really invested in the characters, and I like when there's like a layer or extra layers within a film. So when you get to the end and everything wasn't quite what it seems, that really hooked me. And I don't know if you can say, but it'd be interesting to hear the director interpretation of the ending. If that's something.
Okay, yeah. I mean, if you guys want to discuss, I mean, it's a spoiler review, right? So
Yes. Wait.
Discussion.
Spoiler review starts now.
So
yeah, the end discussion. So this is something really funny because I would say, Kenny, this was the most last minute thing because this wasn't in the original script.
No, it was not. But as we were filming, just as with any kind of art piece, I guess, it starts to take on a life of its own. And that was the ending that this movie wanted, if that makes sense. This was the direction that the film was going. And it really, I don't know, that was the ending it had to have. Because the film was about mass hysteria, and it's about how you perceive things. It's about how one person perceives things, can affect how other people perceive things, and so on and so forth. And that ending was, we left it so ambiguous because I'm gonna go ahead and say everything here because we're talking spoilers, but the doctor tells Brady at the end, if you guys had quarantined, and just avoided each other, quarantined, everything would have been fine. And then you're like, wait a minute, but as the viewer, you're like, but there were zombies and they were attacking people and, all kinds of crazy stuff, But then he says to him, when we're so consumed with something, it's hard to distinguish between what's reality and what's fiction. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we see a situation the way we want to see it, but you already know that, don't you? And it pretty much was like, wait a minute. So Brady, even though he indicated throughout the film that he really didn't believe in the events, but he really did. He was that consumed with it. And to the point where when they were attacked by this guy who was sick, it's like, that's all he could see, right? Were zombies everywhere. But he wasn't.
But was it? They always say we left it on a deliberate cliffhanger. Yeah, we left it on a deliberate cliffhanger because there's so many fan theories that people had actually already come up with about this ending who have approached us about it. That's the most I think we've ever elaborated on the ending because we just let people speculate because we left it on a deliberate cliffhanger. Oh yeah, there he goes. Yeah. Yeah. But we left it on a deliberate cliffhanger just so people could speculate because like Kenny had just said, the whole film's involvement was around mass hysteria. And at the time, when we had shot, we were just coming out of this awful pandemic that affected the whole world and people were perceiving things in that manner. Not that those two events were parallel in any way, but, just the effects that crowd hysteria can have on individuals.
To the point where, I don't know if it was like that for you, but, like, for instance, someone buys out an entire aisle of toilet paper at a store during a pandemic. So that spreads to other stores to where there's no toilet paper, right? Did you guys have that problem? Right? It was a problem here in the States. Mm-hmm. Like it was just how your reaction affects somebody else to the point where are you even reacting, in a rational way, right?
Because when you first see it, I felt like Brady, he was not that bothered about killing his friends. I was saying to Paul, like, if I had to chop your head off, I'd at least feel a bit sad about it. Was that kind of intentional that he was lacking a bit of feeling because?
Well, you got to remember though, in this film, they tell him at the end, the police officer, he's like, what are you doing? Because like everybody just straight up, it's like Brady breaks at one point. It's like he snaps right after Piper attacks him. He snaps somewhere in here, and that's when he just starts killing everyone.
Because I was like, he doesn't seem that bothered about doing it, but it makes more sense when you've seen the end.
Yeah, and then the real turning point, I personally believe, in Brady's story was that monologue he gives just before when he has to put Judy out of her misery. You know, he gives that monologue to tell. He's like, yeah.
When Denny delivered that line, that monologue, rather, sorry. When he delivered that monologue, I'm not kidding you. It was like we were all behind the camera with like tears in our eyes. And I was like, damn, that was good. You did a really good job, you know?
Yeah, we weren't expecting that because we actually, when we shot that, Denny Kidd was, we were actually on a lunch break. All the rest of the cast was gone. They were on lunch break, or they were, taking restroom breaks. So they were gone off set. But Denny Kidd was still there, and there was a few of us on set still, and we had talked with Denny, and I said I think this would be the best time to do this because he's not surrounded by all these cast members to have pressure to him, and I think that was a great choice because when he began to deliver that, you felt it was only him and Judy in that room, and like you said, we were all just sitting there behind the camera like, really enthralled with what he delivered.
Yeah. He did phenomenal.
I don't know what happened to Paul, by the way. His call dropped.
Well, it's fine. I've been switching back and forth on devices.
Hopefully you can get back in. I'm just gonna see where did he go.
But yeah, I mean Denny he's phenomenal at pretty much everything that he does. I cannot say enough about how much I love, respect, and appreciate him, as well as the rest of the cast too. I mean, they all did such a good job. And Mason, and he will tell you, he is Adam. Like he did not have to dig very far to find that character. He is Adam. That's him in real life, And I love the fact that now he keeps that bat with him pretty much everywhere he goes now. So
iconic bat.
One of the kids,
it's signed and stuff, So
one of the kids though at the premiere asked if they could buy it, and he's like, "No, no, that's my bat." I'm like, "No, you can't have the bat." He did sell the Jeep though.
There was one cat. Did he? How much?
For what?
Did it go for quite a lot of money?
Oh, I have no idea. No freaking clue. But he did sell the Jeep though.
Yeah, and the owner of the house, actually, the original plans they had told us was to condemn it and tear it down. But after shooting, he said, it had sort of at some point, this point now was a landmark, and he was looking at, the property owners were going to try to restore it. I don't know whatever happened to it as far as that, but to know that the film, it kind of saved the life of the house, because originally they were just going to come in and demolish it and rebuild. So the fact that this was rebuilt now, I think a lot of people will be able to, if you're ever in that area, you could actually go and see it now that they're preserving it.
I was going to say, I'd quite like to visit. I think that'd be quite interesting.
Yeah,
I've decided, as a tribute to you guys, I'm going to start watching this film every Halloween. There you go.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Dude, thank you. That is so nice. Honestly.
And hopefully, between now and then, we'll have a few more of them out that you can visit as well.
What countries did it go into the cinemas in? Because
I think just in the States.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
We obviously have caught it over there because of that, but it'll be cool to see it appear on social media. Paul, where did you go?
My internet dropped there for like 5 minutes, and I've no idea why. And
I've had the
worst
same
thing-
problem. I've had the same problem.
It's
tonight.
like raining here. It's like the wind is like blowing and raining and stuff. I don't know. Maybe that's what's going on with yours, Jake.
It might be, yeah, because he and I, we only live like what, 15 minutes from each other.
Yeah.
Me and Paul are 5 minutes from each other, so
Really? That's cool. That's really cool.
Plus, I should be able to fix mine because I'm a broadband engineer. Oh, God.
I was going to say, I can't remember the character's name, but the old guy that goes a bit mental towards the end, he was probably one of my favorite characters.
he was a fan favorite. Yeah, the farmer.
Yeah, people love David.
Yeah, he's you know what, David, he's an interesting actor, but you know what you see on screen, a lot of that's actually real. He's just that guy, you know, when you meet him in real life, you're like, okay, that's who this guy is, you know. So he's actually became a fan favorite, you know, among the people watching the film, because he was just so kooky and different, you know, but it elaborated, you know, so much into the story.
He was very memorable. There was one scene me and Paul were talking about. It's probably just me being me getting confused. But do you know how I've only seen it once, so forgive me. See the girl that gets bit first that goes into the room when she's got the bite?
Judy.
Is that Judy?
That's Judy.
So Judy is in there, but then Brady goes outside and he gets attacked by the other girl.
Okay, wait a minute. So you're talking about when Adam comes up and he's got the bat, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and he gets attacked by Piper.
Yeah. So at what point did Piper become infected? Because I thought that was Judy, if that makes sense, because she was already been bitten.
Well, I mean, like at some point she got affected when she ran into the bathroom, right? But before she went into the bathroom,
because you hear her go in there and cough, and you know, right?
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm going to take a shower." And he's like,
she says she's going to take a shower. She goes in the bathroom, and you hear her like gagging, and then yeah,
I think because they're both blonde.
They are, and actually, I'll tell you
watching.
a little bit of a secret here that you know a lot of people don't know. The scene where Brady shoots Judy, right? So Mackenzie Clay, who played Judy, actually contracted COVID during filming and could not be on set for a while. Right. So when he opens the door and you see that close up of her like gnawing on her arm, that was actually Brianna Phipps, the other actress, playing Judy in that shot.
And another Easter egg.
Yeah, well, we had all the makeup on her, and like when Brady first aims the gun and you see behind her head, that's Brianna as well, because we had done it all in one take because she was Mackenzie was ill and we were, you know, sort of falling behind schedule, and we already had the makeup on her, so we just kind of looked and said, you know what, let's just cheat it. And, you know, I think that turned out very well. And I don't think anybody would ever notice until the fact we just pointed it out.
You guys ever know that in the Three's Company opening, when John Ritter's on the bike and he looks at the brunette who walks past him, it's actually Suzanne Summers in a brunette wig. So
maybe that's why I got confused between them, because they literally were playing each other at different points.
Yeah.
Plus the blood spatter in that scene was pretty good too.
Or it just hits the wall. Yeah, that was another build of anticipation that we had. You know, that was something, because you can make a good horror film without so much of the red stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, just the idea of planning it in your brain gives you the thought of what's going on.
Right.
That was something I really liked about the film, because every time there was about to be someone getting bitten or some kind of fight, it kind of went to black. And then you went afterwards. So what was the thought process behind that? Was it just about building the tension and keeping some of the blood off the screen?
It was. And because, you know, that was one thing that we had both discussed before going into this. When Kenny had approached me, I said, there's got to be two things if I'm going to, you know, helped direct this. I said, we can't have repetitive zombie killing. And he agreed with me because it gets boring after a certain point. You know, it's killing zombie, killing zombie, killing zombie. There's nothing there. We wanted to form something that had more story than just repetitive zombie killing. And, you know, I think that's what really separates our film from a lot of other zombie films.
Yeah.
So we had told him that, and you know, I told him, I said, we got to do that. I said, and we've got to, you know, make our cast minimal, because originally we had it wrote out to where there were like 8 characters as an homage to the original film. But as the time went on, we kind of just broke those down smaller because it developed the characters better. Because about halfway through the film, you know, you're really starting to feel for these characters. You're starting to relate to them. Like when one of them gets killed, you're like, wow. You know what I mean? Like, because you're starting to like root, because we even had a thing in as a promotional tactic here we had Team Adam and Team Brady on, you know, so we had people, you know, that were divided picking teams. So it was actually becoming a real following.
One thing too, you know, that we discussed over and over before we even, you know, had a cast, you know, I'm like, look, we have to keep this to where it's going to be shooter friendly. Like we want to keep that in mind, that this is what we're shooting, right? We want to make sure that it's within our budget and that we can do this easily.
We wanted to make it very practical as far as shooting.
So he threw in a decapitation just for funsies, you know. I'm like, how are we going to do that?
I've seen behind the curtain. I can't go back now.
Yeah, that looked really good, because I wasn't expecting it to look as good as that, because you see some things in like other movies and stuff, and it just looks terrible. You can still see like the
guy
stomping that.
Look, I said, this will not work. This will not work. This is going to look stupid. I mean, I told him this is going to look dumb.
Well, everybody on set was like just so ready to not do that scene. They're like, Jake, we got to do something else. And Kenny there was freaking out. He's like, this is going to look bad. And I looked at him and I said, what was it? I said, I've been doing this for a while. I told him, I said, trust me.
He said, trust me.
Yeah. And he said, we'll do 2 takes and we'll just see which one looks the best. So I talked to the camera guy and he set up a good angle. And I knew the camera guy, we had our DP, Mike Jr., great guy. Mike, I knew he could do it. And so I set it up and I said, Mike, let's get this shot from this angle right here. I said, and if we do it right, and if Mason does it right, all in 1 take, I think we can do it. We done it. We never had to do the second take. That was all 1 take.
And I tell him repeatedly, I trust you.
He said, Kenny told me, he said, from that day forward, he said, I will never question your directorial skills again. He said,
I have not, you know, and I won't, because that's actually my favorite scene in the movie. That whole scene between the 2 of them and the fighting, and, you know, that build up, and you can see his face, Adam's face, as he's turning, right?
Yeah, his eyes are really sunken, and
and he's like, don't let me become one of them, you know. And he's just like basically begging for him to end it, because Piper's gone and he doesn't want to suffer that same fate that the girls did. So
yeah, that whole scene didn't go the way I thought it was going to go at all, because, like, you know, when Adam wants the gun and Brady's away to take a pee in the woods, I thought for sure it was just going to be like dead tropey, and like Adam was going to off himself basically, because he knew he was done for.
Mm-hmm.
So when he came back and he turned the gun on Brady, it was quite a nice wee surprise as well, because I was just expecting it. It was like, all right, he's going to go pee, Adam's going to kill himself, you know, the usual.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a very powerful scene, I think. I'm really proud of the job that the boys did in that scene. I really am. This is my favorite scene in the whole movie. I love it.
Great.
My 3 favorite scenes, not in any particular order, really. The head chopping off one. The one with the old guy who goes mental. And the end, because it took what you thought was the film and then it just changed like your whole perspective on it at the end.
The song over the end credits, Night of the Undead, it's called They're Coming to Get You, is the name of the song. That's actually Denny that performed that.
Paul mentioned that maybe before we came on.
Yeah, I've got it written down. It's
Now,
pretty badass.
another Easter egg you'll see too. We actually had our aerial photographer guy. He actually went. Those are actual footage shots of Evans Cemetery in the film.
In the opening credits, where you see the shots of that cemetery, that's the cemetery that the original Night of the Living Dead was shot in. The opening of the original Night of the Living Dead was shot in. That's the actual cemetery.
Yeah, so our aerial guy actually he went there to get those shots for this film.
It's dedication to the cause.
Oh yeah.
I definitely need to check out the original so I can see like the reverse Easter eggs.
Yeah, it was just a really fun project and something that I'm just very, very proud of. I really am.
Yeah, and it's also it's one of those films, you know, it's you see the initial and then after knowing what you know about it, it's when you can go back and really pick up those little Easter eggs and stuff and rewatch and revisit and then be like, oh yeah, you know,
and that's the thing too, like, you know, a film to me, if it has staying power, it's got to have rewatch value, right? And you know, the thing is, the end of this film prompts you to almost immediately rewatch it because you're questioning then everything that you've seen. And that was the one thing I really love is that we really sell the resale value, I think, or the rewatch value of the film.
No, definitely.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it a lot more, Colin, if you know, because you see the weekend Easter eggs and that, and you'll be like, oh, that's such and such. Like, see when
sometimes it is nice watching the second thing and going back. Like sometimes that can be enjoyable in itself. Like if you read a book, or say you read or you watched, like the best example for me was when I saw the first Harry Potter film in cinema when I was 10. I then went and read the books because I hadn't got into the books before that. And sometimes different orders work out well.
You can't go a podcast without mentioning Harry Potter.
It was a relevant example. Talking about entry points to a franchise.
That's the only one I saw in the theater, I think, was the first one. Pretty sure.
Doesn't get much better.
I've seen them all since then. I own them all, but I think that was the only one I saw in the theater. I was like 12 or so when it came out.
You must be around about the same age as us then.
I mean, God, that's like forever ago now. Jeez. Okay.
Definitely. I'm trying to think. I keep having like thoughts in my head and they keep disappearing. I must be turning into a zombie myself.
What I quite liked about it was like the dialogue between the characters. It was believable. It wasn't dead cheesy like you can get. Like it can go a bit too campy. Like it was believable dialogue. So it was pretty well written. And I quite enjoyed the kind of to and fro. And they had a couple of comedic bits at the start as well.
I can't wait to send you guys this blooper reel. I'm definitely going to send that over as soon as we're finished here. I'm going to send it over.
What other songs did you have in it? Because I'm sure at one point, you're living in America, you probably will. You heard of Three Doors Down?
Well, that's actually probably what you're referring to is an artist by the name of Aiden Barzy. He is I think he's 20 now. He is a 20-year-old kid, and his goal is to be the next John Mayer, and he is pretty good.
He's really good. Yeah, we used a couple different ones of his songs. When Adam, smoking.
The funny thing was when Adam's sitting in the Jeep and he's smoking the joint, he's listening to a song from Aiden on the Jeep radio, and Jake asked me to ask him if he was comfortable with his song being used in a scene where a guy was smoking marijuana. And I texted him that, and Aiden texted back. He said, "Dude, it's supposed to be listened to while you're smoking marijuana." Said, okay, cool. That works. So he does a good job with his music. Check him out on any of the streaming platforms.
What's the name again? Sorry,
Aiden Barzy.
He spells it a little strange.
He does.
AY.
Hold on, can I type it in the chat here? Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me type it. He's a good kid, and he's very, very talented.
Yeah.
So
the music in the sound was actually pretty good throughout the whole movie. I thought, like you know, like when it's kind of the heartbeat sound. The synth,
was
like
Brian
that.
Labuda, our composer, Brian Labuda.
He done a really good job on
Oh, yeah.
composing the soundtrack for this film. He was able, you know, and we actually when he was at a convention, we done a whole panel about this, you know, talking about the film, and he used a lot of older style techniques of music that was used in films in the early 80s to really convey that. So this is almost like I felt whenever watching the film, it almost felt like one of those old 80s horror movies to an extent.
Yeah, the kind of synth kind of feel that.
We did the DVDs that we made. We made them look. I don't know if you guys can see. We made them look like an old VHS tape, right, from a video store. And, you know, we even put like the stickers on it and whatnot. But I really love the cover that they came up with, though, for the Blu-ray, though. I really love that.
I've just discovered, I think, an Easter egg myself. Is Aidan Barsey not the guy that's in one of the social media clips at the start?
Yeah, I was waiting on that. Yeah.
I just saw him on his Spotify picture, and I recognized him from
the Dead are coming back to life. No, they're not. He's a social media kid.
Yeah, the kid on
sure
Twitch.
enough.
Yeah,
that's him.
And also, yeah, the guy that plays the Self in the opening, you know, the live action radio. That's Emmy Award winner Daniel Sexton. That's doing the live broadcast there. That's Daniel's. He's been a host for a lot of different television shows and things like that. But yeah, he's an Emmy Award winner.
The guy in the conspiracy theory guy with the tinfoil hat. You guys remember him? That is Shane Thompson. He is a very good actor. He's a really good friend of mine. He's actually going to be one of the leads in the film that we are currently shooting. So,
but was it apple juice he was drinking, or was it something else?
You know, I don't know. When I seen the video, you know, they sent it over to us. I didn't even question. I said, you know what?
He sent over like 4 or 5 different versions, though. He did different characters. That was one character. He did he had on like a "Make America Great Again" hat and was doing like a whole Trump thing, like talking about conspiracy theories that way. And then
he done several, and they were all really good. But
they were all good.
The one with the tinfoil hat, where he took the drink, it took the cake. That was
the best one. I sent it to Jake, and he's like, "That's the one we're using." And I said, "Yeah, I know."
He's a method actor.
Oh, he's good. He's really good. Check out his stuff too. He's good.
Yeah, he's.
We hadn't mentioned your cameos.
Ours.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Stars of the show.
So, one thing I always wanted to do growing up was to play Johnny in Night of the Living Dead. So, if you watch the movie all the way through, there's a post-credits scene where I just did the voice, you know. So
yeah.
Well, I was like, okay, that's what I always wanted to do. So it's there. If any diehard fans watch the movie all the way through the end credits.
Well, Kenny, he's the coroner in the film. You know, you don't see that, but like, you know, whenever they're covering up the dead bodies,
the hands,
that's him. Yeah,
I saw that on IMDb as part of our stalking process.
Yeah, and I was in a scene like I was in the store, like right behind Denny Kid. You just barely see me because, you know, we were having to do a slate because we were actually re-recorded it on a phone. So I just turned around really quick, you know, before we actioned. And then I think, you know, it was from some old footage that we had. You know, I was a detective in there, you know, approaching at the end. So that was pretty much it.
I think that was the point where I started to kind of twig nothing was as it seemed, because I was like, why is there cops with police tape and coroners when this is like a national thing? Because this was after the president had been on the laptop.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is getting a bit, what's going on here? Why is this happening?
Right.
Yeah, I felt that ending really kind of tied all that together, though. I felt personally,
totally.
I felt like that just kind of it tied it all together because you like you just said, you begin to question it about that point. You're like, what's going on here?
You're like, what? Wait a minute. What did I watch? Right? But yeah.
Doing this podcast was quite a good successor to our last one because we were ranking the episodes of Black Mirror, which I don't know if you've seen Black Mirror, but obviously pretty much every episode ends with a big twist in what you didn't expect. So it actually flowed quite nicely in from that.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah, because see when it first ended before it goes to its kind of twist, I was like, oh, well, it's kind of ended the same way as the original ends, just on a kind of somber note, like the main guy, Colin, don't listen. Basically, the main guy getting killed, and it ends.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's kind of ended the same way. No, I'm fine with that. And then the twist came, and I was like, wow, that came out of left field.
Glad we could follow that up, I guess.
Favor to ask: if you ever film in Scotland, can we have a background cameo?
I mean, technically, they could have a cameo anyway, Jake, right? Like, I mean, somehow or another, we could work that out.
Yeah, eventually. Yeah, we could figure something out. That's just how we do it.
Yeah.
Scotland has lots of nice grass and trees. If you ever needing any other forestry scenes.
Oh, we got a lot of grass and trees. It was, Scotland's always been on my bucket list. I think that'd be a really fun place to visit.
Oh, I agree, totally.
And you guys make some awesome beer down there.
Which one's he talking about? Tenants?
Tenants.
Well, on our IMDb journey, we found that Kenny is a Maker's Whiskey ambassador.
I am, yes, that I am. I have a bottle back here as well. So it means literally nothing except I have a barrel with my name on it.
I will.
It'll be ready in a couple years, like 8 more years or so, and it'll be good to go.
We like to do our research when we have guests on.
Yeah. So what was your favourite part about making the movie in general, or just a specific point? What was your kind of favourite point?
Man, I think we kind of covered everything. You know, the most important, the favorite thing to me, like Kenny said, was just watching it all come together and just the journey that it took there.
My favorite thing was working with Jake, and that was it.
He's lying now.
Kenny's such a sweetheart.
Am I?
You're the bromance we didn't know we needed.
Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. Okay.
If you've covered all the parts from your movie, me and Paul had a couple of quick fire questions, so you get a couple of seconds thinking time, then an answer. Paul, do you remember what your two were?
Yes.
Right, so I'll go first. Kenny, other than Jake, who is your favorite director? Go.
My favorite director? Oh my God, you had to put me on the spot, didn't you? Oh my God. Okay. I would probably say Hitchcock.
Okay.
Did I not do that quickly enough? I'm sorry.
Well, that's fine. I've just read
it.
Same question to Jake.
Same question to me.
Same question.
You know, that's like Kenny just said, it's a really hard choice to go with. But honestly, the most inspired director that, I've really learned a lot from as far as styling and the way that things go is I really, really like Mike Flanagan.
Oh, yeah.
He was the director of Dr. Sleep, Midnight Mass. Man, I was watching Flanagan's stuff, when he was first starting out, and he's never made anything I didn't really like.
Yeah.
So he's really, he's been a modern inspiration. Now I've got a handful of classic directors I really like, but when we're on direct comparison scale, I think Flanagan does a really good job.
Yeah. I recognize that name, and I'm glad it was Dr. Sleep. Was that Paul?
He did Haunting of Hill House, didn't he?
I think so.
I
Yeah.
think it is. Haunting at Hill House.
Yeah.
I started
I had to go
watching Midnight Mass. Was it Midnight? Was it called
Midnight Mass.
Midnight? I started watching that. I didn't really get past the first couple of episodes, but I did enjoy it at the time.
He's done a lot of things. I think Midnight Mass wasn't as big. Have you seen Hush, the movie Hush?
No.
Oh, that's a really good film. If you've not seen it, you need to watch that one. No spoilers, but it's definitely something you should check out. Flanagan's done a lot of really good work that he's really inspired me over the years. He does a lot of directorials for Stephen King.
Yeah. We liked Doctor Sleep, Paul, didn't we? We did, because one of our, I think our first movie review was The Shining, and then we did Doctor Sleep the week after.
Yeah, both wonderful films. Yeah,
they are absolutely.
Every like couple of weeks, I just get a random urge to watch The Shining. It's just the scene at the start with the car going down the roads and the music.
It's because you're shining.
Yes, I'm always shining. Paul, what was your first question?
Okay, first question for me was, in an ideal world, who would be your number one actor or actress that you could cast in one of your movies?
You want to go first?
No.
Julianne Moore. I think if we put Julianne Moore in everything, the world would be a better place. I do. I have always believed that.
Nice.
She does light up the screen every time she's on it.
I mean, I don't know, something about her. I just like always appreciated her as an actress. I mean, she had some pretty big shoes to fill when she took over the role of Clarice Starling from Jodie Foster, but you know, she did the best she could with that one. But everything else, I mean, she's phenomenal.
Underrated movie. Hopefully I'm getting the right person. Non-Stop, the one she did with Liam Neeson up in the aeroplane.
Probably. She's done a lot of stuff, dude.
Underrated.
No. What about you, Jake?
Julia Stiles. Fun fact.
Quickly Googling who Julia Stiles is.
Oh, that's shocking.
That is very shocking. Orphan,
like
First Kill, which will probably be your most recent. 10 Things, The Last Dance. Man, there's been so much. And fun fact, we actually pitched a movie to her not long ago.
What?
Yes, we
Yeah,
did.
she's always been one of my. I've always wanted to work with her. I think.
Oh, I recognize her. Where did I know her from?
Of course, I just watched Orphan not long ago. Orphan First Kill.
Yeah, it looked a little different in that one, but I've always wanted to work with her. I think she's a great actress, and I've really always wanted to work with her. I think ever since I saw her, I thought she was really great, and just like Kenny said about Julianne Moore. Now there's a handful of other people I really have great accomplishments that I'd really love to work with. So when you put everybody in a bowl like that, you got to just pick one. That's a really hard.
They are. Those are tough questions.
Because me and Kenny talk about this all the time.
Okay.
We're always talking about we've got a handful of people that we would love to work with, and we went into discussion with this, and like I know who his top picks are, he knows who mine are, and we've done things to make it happen too. So.
When one of us wakes up in the morning, the messages start. And they don't stop until one of us falls asleep. I mean, it's just all day long. I love it.
We're best friends, so we pretty much we tell each other everything. And the coolest thing was, this film is what done that. That's what brought us together. So that was pretty cool to be able to have that.
Well, if you like those questions, we'll get two more before we wrap up.
Yeah. Sure.
So, what's one movie you two wish you directed? Like, what's one movie that's so good you're like, I wish I could have been part of that?
Why do you have to ask these tough questions?
Because we had to do some kind of preparation, so we thought we'd make some questions up so we look organized.
I always wanted to play Clyde Barrow in Bonnie and Clyde. I don't know why. I just always did. But then also, if I had to pick one movie that I wish I could have been a part of, I would probably pick Goodfellas. I love Goodfellas.
Nice. Good choice.
That is a good choice. Yeah. Man, that one's really tough.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. One film that you could have been a part of. I don't think I can I really don't think I can answer that because
Let's
that
do
is,
TV shows. We'll answer for both of us. Smallville.
yeah, we were big fans when that came out. Yeah.
Oh, I used to watch it after school.
Oh yeah, but that was big when he and we were younger, so that was big when that was out. So everybody was a Smallville fanatic.
So how you feeling about Henry Cavill?
We're feeling.
What?
We're feeling. We're not feeling good about it, but we're feeling.
feeling something. Right, Paul's got one more doozy for you before we go to sleep because it's almost work time over here.
Oh, that's true.
So since this is a horror movie, what's your favorite horror movie of all time? Or in Scream, what's your favorite scary movie?
So honestly, the reason I wanted to remake this movie was because my favorite horror movie is Night of the Living Dead, the original. That was an easy one. They finally asked an easy question.
Yeah, there you go. My favorite horror movie, my first one I think I ever saw that I really, really like that I feel is a classic, has got to be John Carpenter's original Halloween film. I thought that was an original, not like all these 900 ones made after it, but his original idea I thought was really good, and it really shook me when I was a kid. That was back before we had all the CGI, numerous remakes and stuff. Of course, that was around, but when you visit that first piece of cinema that was out of somebody's mind, and you really pick their brain from that, you can really take a lot from that.
Oh, totally.
Nice.
Good. That's good because we reviewed Halloween not long ago, and you watched it for the first time, Colin, and it was an experience for you.
I really enjoy horror films, but it's actually been over the last couple of years that I've really been watching all the things you're supposed to have watched, and that's led us to here. So that's good.
Do you have any more questions?
No, there was two each. I like a wee bit of even numbers.
Totally.
We probably should round up because we're fast approaching the running time of our Black Mirror episode, which was an hour 45 minutes.
Well, it was an honor for you guys to have us on. Thank you. And
yeah, pleasure.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So
absolutely, guys. Yeah, anytime for sure. We really enjoyed it. Really appreciate you having us on. Appreciate being here.
No, we enjoyed having you on. As I said, it was such a surprise to be asked and hearing how much you guys have done in your careers and all the amazing connections you have. I still don't understand why you sought us out, but we're glad you came on and had a
I
good
was
time.
on Twitter and you guys came up. You guys were suggested, and I was like, "Oh, hey, cool. Okay, let me check them out." I checked you guys out, and I was like, "Okay." So I sent a message to the page. I was like, "Hey, you want to review our film?"
What did you check out? Like, was it?
No, I just went to the Twitter page.
On the page, yeah.
Yeah, that was literally it. That was
that's one thing I feel that really separates us from a lot of other directors is we reach out to independent reviewers and stuff too for our films, because we're just really partial to people who just enjoy art, who just enjoy doing it, because that's how we started out, and we're really partial to those guys who are really trying to make something out of what they're doing. So we have that connection. So we always reach out to people like that.
This is just a wee side thing. Me and Paul both. Paul's an engineer. I'm a school teacher. So this is just a side thing for us that we hope that one day could lead to us making a wee bit of a splash at some point.
Totally.
No. To be fair, when you started talking to us, I was thinking, maybe they've got confused with somebody else and they think we're somebody else.
No. And I will definitely probably send some more people your way as well. So
thanks very much. We normally post when we're sort of thinking of certain films or shows. So if you ever fancy just jumping on for a more chilled out review of something else, or we do rankings quite a lot, that kind of thing. So if you're ever down for just coming on for discuss some movies or TV, give us a shout.
For sure.
Yeah. No, thanks for giving us the opportunity for the experience and having a wee screener of your movie. It was actually really good. So yeah, thanks very much.
You guys get some sleep, okay?
One last thing before we go. We always get our guests, which you probably won't know it, and that's okay. Do you know what our slogan is?
No.
Paul will share it.
The power of mass hysteria.
Really?
It's actually the power of escapism, but like the intro, we tweak it every episode as well.
Oh, I see. I see. That's awesome.
This is a good fit for that.
Yeah, no joke. No joke.
So so thank you. Keep forgetting. I'm so engrossed in the conversation. Keep forgetting that we're meant to be addressing the fourth wall as well. So thank you everyone for watching. Please check out Seismic Cinema on YouTube, Twitter, all the other places, and anywhere particular people can reach you if they want to check out or get in touch about the movies.
You can check us out. We're on every major platform. MTS Pictures and Desiru Productions. Just check us out. We're on Tubi, Amazon, and pretty much everywhere.
And also socials,
Yeah, socials. I'm at Jake C. Young Official. Pretty plain and simple to.
I am at the Ken Scott 88.
Yeah, pretty simple.
Yep.
Well, it's been a pleasure, guys. When I end the recording, we'll still be in the studio. So if you want to just have a quick wee sign off chat before we go, and then we'll get to our sleep. So thanks everyone for listening, and goodbye. Paul, you're supposed to say your thing.
Thanks for listening. What's my thing?
That's it.
All right. Oh,